Anybody says anything back there,
It's the intention of this court that the defendant never set foot in free society again. This is what a judge said about a convict. Watch the video until the very end to know what they did. Court scenes are very disturbing at times. At the same time, it's fulfilling when convicts are punished. Here, see how some convicts react to life sentences. I hope you've already subscribed to Just Scary. Tap that bell icon too, and fasten your seatbelts. Erica Mae Butts and Shanita Latrice Cunningham. Two women were sentenced to life in prison for the murder of a 3-year-old girl. When the verdict was read, they collapsed in the courtroom and had to be wheeled out on stretchers. Erica Mae Butts and Shanita Latrice Cunningham, both 25, were sentenced to life in prison by a Charleston judge. Their verdict happened 2 years to the day after their crime. Just foster some courage before you hear that. These two ladies killed a girl, Serenity Richardson, who was only 3 years old. They admitted to the crime and pleaded guilty. They mercilessly struck the newborn girl with a belt and plastic coat hangers. Apart from the soles of her feet, no part of this child's body was uninjured. Serenity had been visiting Butts, her godmother and her mother's best friend, and Cunningham, Butts' lover, at their house in Summerville, South Carolina, for 2 weeks when this cruelty occurred. When the verdict was read, Cunningham and Butts both sank to the floor amid emotional outcries by family members. The case has drawn national attention because of the young age of the victim and the brutality of the crime. The child's mother, who was not present at the time of the murder, has said that she is devastated by the loss of her daughter. John Freeman. Next, in this clip, we can see John Freeman getting a life sentence for killing a 5-year-old child at his great-grandparents' place in Niagara Falls. He was just 16 at the time of the crime. While he was brought on for his trial, the victim's father can be seen calling him a disgusting animal.
I didn't get to see Isabella start kindergarten, first grade, high school, teach her how to drive, go to a prom, or get married and have children.
Freeman allegedly admitted to killing the victim, Isabella, by choking her to death because she wouldn't go to sleep. He admits that there was an additional defendant named Murphy engaged in the crime, and Freeman threatened to force him to stuff the girl's body into a waste bag and drop her off in the trash can. As courteous as he possibly could, he seemed cool, calm, and collected throughout his sentence. He even gave the chilling details of the bare-handed murder of a helpless 5-year-old.
I'm so sorry to all that family. Nothing can take away from that. I understand that. I gotta wake up every day with that. So, just ask. Actually, I'm just sorry.
This behavior would be viewed as strange, but as a medical examiner discovered that he was being born with a condition called fetal alcohol syndrome, which impaired his decision-making abilities, but not to the point where a mental health defense would have been successful. Andrea Cook. Here we see Andrea Cook, who was found guilty of carjacking charges in Volusia County in Florida. The 18-year-old Cook and her then 17-year-old boyfriend have used a dating app to set up a carjacking, where their boyfriend reportedly shot the victim, leaving him seriously injured. After fleeing the scene and being on the run, the pair attempted another carjacking just 2 days after. But they were arrested, and Cook stands in front of the court for her involvement in the theft and shooting. After the judge gave her a sentence of 20 years in confinement, her mother, who was sitting in the front row, started to break down. The reason behind this heartbreaking scene was due to the miscommunication by the public defender between Cook and her mother. The mother never thought her child would be given 20 years in jail. Cook's sentence was later reduced to 11 years. Blake Jefferson. Dedray Jefferson was a respected teacher and trustee on the Alive School Board, and she was found dead in the basement of her southwest Houston town home, while her son was discovered hiding in a neighbor's closet. Blake had been acting strangely, according to friends and family. The 22-year-old suspect was a Texas Southern University graduate with a job. According to police, Dedray was on the phone with her mother when Blake stabbed her multiple times. Blake, according to the police, was high at the time of the murder. Blake Jefferson was sobbing and wailing as he was led out of the courtroom by a security guard. Family members could be seen sobbing in their seats as the judge read out the information about his bond. In court, Jefferson turned to face his supporters and touched his heart. He then let out a series of audible cries outside his courtroom, and his bail was set to $50,000. Click that subscribe button to our channel, Just Scary. Feel free to click that bell symbol to receive notifications whenever we post a new video. Michael Marin. This man led a life that most people could only imagine. He made $1 million, traveled the globe, traded in complex stocks, and generally lived a life of luxury. That is, until he went down into debt by purchasing a mansion that he couldn't afford. He planned to burn the house down to get away from his problems, but his home insurance company became suspicious and looked into it. It turns out that he had planned the entire thing and used a scuba tank and mask to flee the fire. He realized that if found guilty of the incident and arson, he may face a long prison term. As the verdict was being read, he placed his hands over his mouth looking distraught, but secretly slipped a pill into his mouth. Soon, chaos ensued, and it turns out that he poisoned himself with cyanide as soon as the guilty verdict was read. Soon after, he went into convulsions and died on the courtroom floor, leaving his wife and 4 kids behind. Dylan Shoemaker. This is a young man named Dylan Shoemaker attempting in a courtroom in Buffalo, New York. He's currently awaiting sentencing after being convicted of a crime of second-degree murder at the age of 16. Can you believe it? When Shoemaker's girlfriend left for work that evening, he was babysitting her child. He was in his Springville home, which he shared with his parents. Afterwards, Shoemaker beat the 23-month-old child, who had died as a result of his injuries. Dylan Shoemaker was later apprehended and charged with the toddler's murder as well as child abuse. This is heartbreaking. Shoemaker's attorney attempted to claim that he was intending to calm the sobbing infant and had no intention of harming or killing the child. How insane is that? Anyways, the jury did not believe him, and Shoemaker was found guilty of second-degree murder. As we can see, Shoemaker sheds tears and apologizes to everyone before he has the chance to set things up behind the witness box in the courtroom.
I would give my life for Austin. I loved him a lot. I didn't mean to kill Austin. Actually, I really didn't. I really think I did that. I didn't mean to hurt him. I wish I could. I would give my life for Austin. I loved him a lot.
Shoemaker made a phone call to his mother while awaiting his trial, and the conversation was recorded. Shoemaker was later sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 25 years, but that punishment was later reduced to 18 years to life. T.J. Lane. A teen is cursing and giving the middle finger to the victim's family. T.J. Lane is who we're talking about. He was a very abnormal child in front of the judge while sentencing for the 2012 school shooting in Ohio. Look carefully at his t-shirt wearing during the trial. Lane chose to attend his sentencing wearing a white t-shirt with the word killer written in black. TJ was 17 years old when he killed 3 students and injured 3 others. He was convicted as an adult and given 3 life terms in prison with no chance of parole. The defendant was smiling as the victim's mother made her statement. He was simply smirking. This provoked us. TJ even escaped from prison shortly after the attack. He and 2 other inmates have escaped from the Allen Correctional Institution in Ohio just 8 days before his birthday. He was able to escape by using a makeshift ladder. During their free time, they used it to climb a fence. Neighbors were advised to lock their doors, and police carried out a nationwide search. TJ was ultimately captured and imprisoned in a small cell for 23 hours a day. Jalil Hoskins. A self-confessed murderer yelled in court after being sentenced to 50 to 100 years. He killed his girlfriend, a mother of 5, and dropped her body in the garbage. Before learning of his fate, Jalil Hoskins of Grand Rapids in Michigan apologized to the family of Latrice Mays, whom he murdered, saying that he loved her and didn't mean to end her life. What sort of confession is this? When Kent County Circuit Court Judge James Redford convicted him of up to a century in prison, the handcuffed man exploded, throwing the podium towards the bench and lunging forward before being led away from the hearing room by security. The two families charged at each other yelling, and extra court deputies had to separate them. As Redford smashed his gavel, Hoskins' devastated mother, who made a tearful statement to the court earlier, yelled at Hoskins' cousins to shut up.
I love you, Mom! That's what you get! I hope you burn the head!
Mays vanished on March 19th. Less than 2 months later, police in Grand Rapids said that they believed her body had been burned and disposed of in a landfill. Some speculated that Hoskins' motivation for the slaying was to prevent her from speaking to the police after being accused of assaulting the father of 2 of her children. In his piece, Hoskins stated that he loved Mays and he had worked hard to support her and her daughter. That was about 8 crimes and sentences. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Just Scary. More such videos will appear on your screen, so click them and enjoy. We'll see you soon. Goodbye.